Welcome to part one of our three-part series, Unveiling the Shelf to Success Framework, where we're going to be unlocking the hidden power of your book. Now, who's this series for? Well, I'm going to ask you this question. If you would like to turn your book into not just words on a page, but a revenue-generating powerhouse in less than 30 days, then I encourage you to kill the noise. I want you to focus up over the next 20 minutes because we're going to be answering this question, right? Kind of like the elephant in the room. Now, either you've been asking this question out loud or in the comfort of your own mind, and that is your book dead? Is my book dead? Right? And that's what we're going to be answering over the course of these next 3 days. But before we do, let's look at the typical life cycle of a book. And let me know, comment below, where do you fall in this life cycle? Are you in that launch phase, which is about 1 to 3 months in, where your book is seeing its highest sales overall, right? Or have you already transitioned to the post-launch decline, which is 4 to 6 months in, where your book starts to see a slowdown in sales? Have you transitioned to the stability phase, which is 6 months to a year in? This is where your book has kind of like found its average sales ratio, right? Its average sales rate, depending again on how much marketing you continue to do or have been doing over the course of from launch to about a year in. Have you transitioned to the long tail phase? This is 1 year and beyond. This is where your book continues to see a decline in sales, right? This phase can last for over a year with your book still making occasional sales. Now, if it's a non-fictional book and it's an evergreen book, now evergreen book is a book that it's as value. The content in the book is as valuable today as it was when you initially wrote and launched the book. Now, a non-fictional book could potentially still see additional sales coming in this long tail phase. Or have you gotten into that flatline stage? Now, flatline doesn't mean you're not seeing any sales at all. It just means that it's very infrequent. Now, regardless of what phase you are in this life cycle of your book, it doesn't mean it's the end. And that is where the Shelf to Success framework comes in. Okay. So who am I? I'm Joel Lewis, founder of Integrated & Co., a digital marketing agency where we're focusing on pioneering digital strategies, empowering businesses, and creating an impact. Here are some of kind of quick touch points of my journey as a digital marketer. We've been in business for about 6.5 years. We've helped our clients generate well over $40 million in revenue with using specific frameworks for their business. Now, over the course of these 3 days, I'm going to be talking about the Shelf to Success framework specifically for authors who have already published a book. But we've helped our clients over the last 6 years generate this sort of revenue using various types of frameworks. And some of our clients, with the efforts and the work that we've done, have even garnered prestigious awards like the 2 Comma Club and 2 Comma Club X Award, meaning that they've generated over $1 million to $10 million with the frameworks that we've developed for them. So, because look, success is not final, right? When you're thinking about your book, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Just like our client, Dr. Margaret Paul, who was actually the spark that led to the Shelf to Success framework. Now, Dr. Margaret, even before working with us, had a lot going on. She's been featured on Oprah, Mind Body Green, Huffington Post. She was working with individuals like Jack Canfield, Lindsay Wagner, Alanis Morissette. And when Dr. Margaret came to us, this was back in 2018, she had written this book, Diet for Divine Connection. And it had gone through that life cycle. And it's an evergreen book. And Dr. Margaret knew that this book could still have an impact and can still change and help individuals, right? Change lives and help individuals. So when she came to us, she was wondering, like, how can she leverage this book to continue to have an impact, but at the same time help her to continue to grow her business and shift the way that she's been doing her business. So what we did is we developed, which is now called the Shelf to Success Framework. We developed the framework, which now, again, Dr. Margaret was already seeing about 3,000 visitors per day to her website, and we leveraged that traffic that she had already built up through her website every single day. We leveraged that traffic to grow her email list by 43%, sell well over 1,000 additional copies of her book, and in the process of doing that, generating $40,000 plus in direct revenue. Okay, so now that's just a little quick taste of like what is possible with the Shelf to Success framework. We're going to go into more examples of how this framework is helping authors to grow their list, build their tribe, generate revenue, sell more copies of their book, and generate revenue at the same time. So, okay, so the question is your, like I mentioned, is your book dead? Well, the answer to that is absolutely no, like I just quickly showed you with Dr. Margaret. But here are the challenges that we see authors are facing today. Challenge number one is not being able to build your author platform and build your audience. This is extremely important. You're cranking out these books, whether it's your first book, your second, third, fourth, fifth book. And we're coming across authors who have written these amazing books, but yet they don't have an audience. They haven't built a list, which means every single new book or course or program or service that they want to launch, they have to basically start all over with generating interest, generating leads, generating traffic to that new book or course or program or service, right? And it just continues in this cycle. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we see facing authors, is that you're not spending the time, the energy, the effort, or you just don't know how to build your platform and build that audience. Again, if you've spent any time, right, looking at platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you see that there are these micro influencers, and these micro influencers who are generating revenue with their platform that they've built on these social media channels. They're building an audience. They're building that know, like, and trust, which is then generating revenue for them through sponsorship and sales and so forth and so on. And when they launch something, there's already, like, for example, Mr. Beast. I was just in Target the other day, and as soon as I walked into Target, the first thing I saw was a column with Mr. Beast, his face, and Mr. Beast plastered on there, and it's selling like chocolate bars, right? This is a guy who started a YouTube channel, blew up, built an audience, I think over 200 million subscribers, and is now leveraging that audience to not only generate sales through his YouTube channel, but then parlaying that into other offers, program, products, you name it, right? So that's the first challenge we're seeing with authors, is not spending the time or not knowing how to build that platform. The second challenge is navigating the crowded space, right? With the advent of AI, right, you know that there are more books that are going. It was already bad before with the amount of books that were being crammed out or pumped out, whether digitally or physically, right? And now it's just going to even get more crowded, right? Which kind of leans back to step one of growing your audience. Because if you're starting from ground zero, every new book, every new product, every new course, every new program, you're going to have to invest a lot of energy, effort, and money to be able to move that product, move that book, sell more of it, right? And with a crowded marketplace, you're just basically you're just kind of another book. Your book is just another book in the crowded space. It's almost like another another tone in the noise, right? And you're trying to stand out from the noise, right? So third challenge that we're seeing is converting those readers into customers. So let's say you were able to get your book to stand out from the noise, right? Stand out from the crowd. And now you've been able to get a customer to purchase your book, but now that transaction is done, right? You haven't gotten there. You didn't do step one. You didn't grab their email list, their information, right? You were able to successfully do step two, which is basically stand out from the noise. But because you didn't do step one, there's no way for you to have a second transaction, directly engage with your audience, engage with that buyer, to have that second transaction and convert them into a customer, which means every single time you need to launch another product or book or service, you have to try to find that customer all over again, which most of the time, 9 times out of 10, means that you're investing more money to do PR, to do marketing, to do pre-launches, where you're trying to find that reader all over again, right? And it's all three of these, as you kind of get a sense, all three of these really tie well together in terms of like, if you can't just have one, you need to have all three of these in order for you to be able to, with every new launch of a book, to be able to successfully have an audience, a tribe, a community that's waiting for you to launch that book or that product or that service, so that they're willing to whip out their wallet to purchase. Okay. Now, a good example of everything that I just shared is these two individuals, Tim Ferriss with the 4-Hour Work Week and Brene Brown with her books that she's launched. These individuals have been able to leverage their book launches to build their tribe, build their audience, to the point where they both have their empires, right? They've been able to build their business into empires. Tim Ferriss with podcasting and all the media stuff that he does, as well as Brene Brown in terms of like TEDx talks and Netflix specials and all that. These are really two examples of how your book, right, you could leverage it as a strategy, right, because it's still relevant, to create consistent opportunities over time for your business. Now, hopefully all of this is starting to kind of sink in here. Now, the next question, I guess, is how do I do it? How do I leverage my book like these two individuals and many other authors are doing? Well, you need to take a new approach from what you did, either from your first launch or your subsequent book launches. And that new approach, right, to awakening the dormant potential in your book, because every book, no matter how long it's been shelved, whether you wrote it a year ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, possesses that dormant potential. And the Shelf to Success framework is the way. The Shelf framework reveals how to leverage the potential in your book in order to, number one, leverage your book as the key to double, triple, quadruple your email list growth. Right? That's the first objective of the Shelf to Success framework. The second objective is to sell thousands, not hundreds, but thousands more copies of your book. The third objective is to break even, right? Break even meaning offsetting the cost of your email list growth from objective number one. Okay. Now, this is extremely important, because if it's costing you to grow your email list, if you can offset that cost, then the sky is the limit. The potential of growing your email list is infinite, right? Because you're offsetting that cost. Right? And this is a very, very, very important part of the Shelf to Success framework. From there, objective number 4 is front end. On the front end is selling more, meaning you've grown your email, you're growing your email list, you're selling more copies of your book in objective number 2. You're breaking even while doing that. Well, now we need to profit, right? We need some profit coming through this framework that we've developed. And how we do that on the front end is we sell more, meaning courses, products, services. We either upsell these individuals that have taken that have purchased your book. We either upsell them or cross-sell them. Okay. And then objective number 5. This is the long sales cycle objective, which is on the back end, which is selling more. Again, we're going to sell more courses, products, and services, but this may be further down the line. This is after they've already engaged, they've already became a customer by buying your book. Maybe they purchase on the front end, maybe they purchase a course or product or service from you, and now a month, 2, 3, 4 months have gone by, and now you are presenting them with other courses, products, and services, right? But because you spent that time to nurture them, build that know, like, and trust, where they're willing to whip out their wallet again to buy something kind of like more high end from you, right? With something that has a higher value, higher cost. Okay. Now, question for you is, how do you feel about those 5 objectives that I just shared with you? Which one of these objectives resonate the most with you? Objective 1, growing your email list. Objective 2, selling thousands more copies of your book. Breaking even in the process, which is objective 3. Objective 4, selling more products and services on the front end, right? Directly through the framework that we build. Or objective 5 on the back end, selling some more courses, products, or services, but typically higher end, higher cost products and services. So, first question, which of those resonate the most with you, get you the most excited? Second, have you seen a framework like this in the past, right? And then third, does this make sense? So, now, the keys to accomplishing those 5 objectives, right? We just kind of covered those 5 objectives really high level. The keys to accomplishing this lies within the Shelf to Success framework, which I will fully break down on tomorrow's session, right? Day 2 of our 3-part series. So what I want you to do is think through those questions that I asked you. I want you to, as we wrap up here, reflect on the untapped potential of your book. If you have an evergreen book, again, evergreen meaning that it is as valuable today, the content in your book is as valuable today as it was when you first wrote it, then I want you to kind of reflect on that and come ready for day 2 of our 3-part series. All right. So I'll see you then. Any questions, please comment below, and we'll touch base on tomorrow's session, or I will respond to any comments, any questions and comments that you drop below.